Oh. Well, hello, and welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted. I'm Ross Aiken. I'm Old Who.
My name is Melvin Pena, and I represent You Who.
And I'm Dan HollingsWorth, and I represent all the Who's.
Good deal. All right, folks. Hey, we're here to talk about the Ninth Doctor Adventures set for first story, Snare, by
Tim Foley.
Tim Foley. Thank you.
I think this
I
is set
hate
five.
that I blanked on it because there's a guy that works in theater around here named Tim Foley in Richmond, so it always makes me think of him. So, and it's the first one where Billie Piper and Christopher Eccleston together again doing a story. So, Dan, thank you for coming on. This is the first time you've been on Gallifrey's Most Wanted. So, would you quickly tell everybody your Doctor Who origin story?
I'm from England, so Doctor Who was on telly and popular back in my childhood. So everyone knew about Doctor Who because it was this thing on television with Tom Baker being a bit manic and strange. So everyone seemed to watch it when I was a kid, and then I got into it, and then I got into it a lot. And then you reach that point where you become a fan, where you start actually buying things related to it rather than just watching it on the television. So that's what happened to me. Unfortunately, I spent all my pocket money on Doctor Who, and also managed to spend all my pocket money on Marvel Comics as well. Somehow. So yeah, then it just grew and grew and grew, and I'm like a middle-aged child now.
Hey, there's an entire room in my house that is nothing but Doctor Who, Star Trek, and comic books.
You've got to do it. I assume if everyone's got that, haven't they?
No, yeah. My wife didn't understand collecting, and my buddy of mine goes, "It used to be worse." She was like, "Get a whole room which is full of comic books."
You have to basically marry someone who's not a collector.
Well,
otherwise you can't live, basically.
Oh no, I don't know how couples that have different hobbies. My wife crochets, so there are these nice things in her bookshelf that these like tubs that pull out, and they're full of yarn.
That's nice.
Well, yeah, she made me a Starman sweater in the colors of the Golden Age Starman. She made me a cardigan.
Oh, I've seen
yellow,
that. I've seen
gold,
that picture. It's cool.
Red, and
I need to see this.
Oh, hold on.
It's a cool picture.
You don't have to go now.
Okay,
I
will show you later. Right now. It's in the other room. I keep it in a box. It looks like he's read the 90s, early aughts, 2000, Dad. And
I need to reread it again after talking to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that Ted, the original Starman, would wear. He'd walk around. Yeah. It looks like an old man's cardigan. It's got little stars.
I'm aware of this kind of vibe. Yes.
Yeah, it's very good.
In his planetarium-y thing. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So we're going to get started to talk about this. So let's do it the way me and Melvin and Jeff did the last couple seasons. I'm going to ask, starting with Dan, what was your overall impression of it?
My overall impression of this, I loved it because we're getting our dream team back, basically. I mean, I've enjoyed most of the Christopher Eccleston big finishes so far, except for Ravagers, of course, because that's
Ravagers is just like
it just doesn't have the magic
at
all.
It's very flat.
But yeah, I mean, the range so far, we've had some good stories. I can't really name most of them now. The one with the Cybermen and the bridge.
Oh my God, that's Roy Gill. The fourth episode.
I have to basically mention that Roy Gill is one of my friends. I'm not just saying it because of that.
Yeah,
been to that bridge. Went to Scotland. Went to look at that bridge because of Doctor Who audio. An audio.
A picture of your Cyberman dolls with it.
I didn't bring some Cybermen dolls with me, but I mean, that's a whole new level of nerdiness. I went to look at a bridge that was on an audio play. What? But no, it's a really good bridge.
It's called commitment, Dan. It's called having your eyes on the prize.
There's a rail service that goes on that bridge, and then there's like a footpathy bit as well. It's very good. It's a nice bridge. It's a nice view. There were no Cybermen there. That was good, and many other ones were also good. But it's like I got to this stage where there's so much Big Finish that I can't remember them like I used to, if you know what I mean. You know, in the early days of Big Finish, you got one thing a month. You remembered it a lot more because that was Doctor Who for the month. Now it's like 25 things every month come out. I don't know. But anyway, having Billie Piper back, even though she's done some stuff with David Tennant and she's done her Dimension Canon things, having her and him together, yeah, straight back in it. They've got the vibe, they've got the chemistry. We've got Camille Kaduri, who's always doing these things. Bless her. Yeah, I loved it. It's just, I wouldn't say it's my era. It's my era in as much as it got me really excited about Doctor Who again back in 2005. So yeah, very pleased to have it, and it was good, which helps.
Yeah. How about you, Melvin?
Very much the same. I have also listened to all of the Ninth Doctor audios, and every single one. I mean, even as much as we talk smack about Ravagers, like for all that was what we had for a little while. Like, it was just amazing to hear Kit Eccleston and be Doctor Who again for 3 hours, and I just loved every minute of, especially the behind the scenes, just hearing him talk. Excuse me, about Doctor Who again, much less be Doctor Who, was just such a delight. And the 4 series, because I think is this not the start of the 5th series?
No, this is 4.1.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of strange because you and me covered 3, so I had I have listened to everything. I love the 3rd.
Well, I mean, I still don't think you have, because there's that set with him and River Song.
No, I haven't read that. No,
3.4, isn't it, that one? I'm looking up at my scary display of big.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, you got the physical media.
I've got the wall of box sets. Yeah, 3.4. That one is.
Okay, brilliant. So
that's really good, the River Song one. Even though
it's that last story in that set, especially where they're like make island. They're out on an island, like on a boat. Just an incredible story. But yeah, you're right, Dan. It is kind of difficult, like we're doing right now, trying to figure out which story is which.
We're so spoiled. In a good way.
But that's one of the great things about doing podcasts. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, is like and you were asking about Gallifrey's Most Wanted, a couple weeks ago, and I sort of sent you some links of ones that I really like. But that's how I can remember these, is like if I go back and revisit the box set, as opposed to like the way I usually do it, which is I'll listen to every story 3 or 4 or 5 times.
How do you have the time for that?
I'm single. All my stuff is in my room. Like everything I have is in one room. So I don't even have a dedicated room for my nerd stuff. It's just like I'm living in it.
You're living in Doctor Who.
It's true. But yeah, no. So this story, again, I've listened to all the Kit Eccleston Big Finish, and I love it. I love it. And I was really adamant during those first 3 seasons that I didn't need, because people kept clamoring for, when's Billie Piper going to come back? Do you fancy Billie Piper, sir? Like the Catherine Tate little skit. I didn't care for it. I didn't want it. I didn't want to relive the past. I want to rehash the past. I wanted to see Eccleston traveling on his own. I thought he was very strong in every single box set. I loved that he was interacting with new characters. I wanted to see. I have sort of resentment in the 2005 series, or looking back 20 years later, that people put so much weight on what Billie Piper's character Rose did for the Doctor, as though she weren't sort of a stuck up her own ass shop girl with like that. As Camille Kaduri said in a couple of the episodes, was putting on airs and graces. I sort of felt that myself, and was sort of resentful towards the sort of emphasis that people gave her. But I have to admit, minute 1, by the cold open of this episode, I was like, I was wrong. I did need Kit Eccleston and Billie Piper back together again, like hearing their voices together. As Dan said, the chemistry is everything. It's literally like they finish the way they finish each other's sentences, the way they understand when to talk. Like that's not something that's in the script. I mean, it might be, but it's like you have to be able to do it. And the fact that you get Camille back, which, Dan, again, you're right. She does lots of these, but that's a good thing, because
she's great as Jackie.
Oh, she's great.
And we'll go more into it, but like, again, I feel like she really anchors in a way that I don't think I appreciated for the show as many times as I've seen season 1, the degree to which she anchors the entire season. Like, but yeah, no, this episode was just, it's miraculous is what it is, because it feels like I'm watching the TV show, and I'm like, how Tim Foley did an immaculate job with this script.
He's really good at starting off new ranges, isn't he? He seems to be one of those people. Yeah, he did the first Jodie as well.
Well, I agree with both of you about I like it. But the first time I listened to it, I felt like it was uneven, but when I listened to it second time, certain things kind of hit, and it's like, okay, I'm glad I did a two. I did a 3 list 3 times. I
Mhm.
listened 3 times over the last 5 days, and I love Big Finish, and I love audio in any form, book, audio book, radio play, good radio plays, because I like it to be the set designer in my head. That's a good thing. People go, you imagine it. It felt like it's when I first listened to it, it felt like a very, very early Big Finish, like first 20 within the first like 24. The way it worked, and I was like, it's got to be. And I was like, in the second listen, I didn't feel any of that. But every time they like, Eccleston lifts up everything he does. You know what I mean? I think you put someone else in it, it wouldn't work at all. It just is. So, but I really liked it after that. And the parts of it I really liked were Jackie being in it. And that relationship that they're not blowing off. They're playing into the fact that at this point, Rose is still a little abrasive with the doctor. She's a little soft, more warm and fuzzy with David Tennant's doctor. She's still Rose, and knowing where this is placed, it's right after Father's Day, that it just clicked. They're so good together. She is, their chemistry is so spot on and so different than what her chemistry is with, who else she's played this part against. And she's a really good actress. This audio's harder to make it you've got to help the story along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean,
Sometimes.
because if you're just doing what's on the page, you need a lot more than just saying it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
and
you've got to work harder in a
there's
way
no
to make
body
it feel
language.
real. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't do
Gotta
any of
bring
that
it out.
subtle acting. So they're just so good. And I think my favorite part of it is because I'm re-listening to it and doing the building of the set in my head, because this was a complicated little thing. I mean, I like that too, about the science fiction part of it. It's a ship with all this stuff growing in. It sounds like a Hammer. It sounds like a Quatermass movie in a way. Very British, more, it has a nice feel. And I saw it very much in my head as an 80s set, really, when I'm they're walking through corridors, but I just kept seeing that in my head. And I don't mean that's a bad thing, especially when she said this sink is a lake. It's a giant lake sink. And I went, oh, it sounds very, I thought of the sink in the rescue, but I really loved it. I just really loved it. I like another thing that struck me with this is Big Finish is using much smaller casts in certain things. You know what I mean? Which I think's a good thing. Sometimes
it's for money reasons, really, isn't it? But
it is. I did theater
well.
from when we used to be able to have 10 actors on stage, and then playwrights were going, I'm only putting 3 in the cast because no one will produce it. Which is insane.
The thing
but
about
I like
that,
these intimate ones that it's just these 5 people saving. Well, one of them dies before they need to save the world. But they're going on an adventure through this cabinet into this weird world, and it's just, I like it a lot because I even liked Marlene as a character. She's not. And I'll go into it because I really like Kevin. I really like Kevin too. I mean, I like the characters. I didn't at first. I was like, okay, these are the guest characters. Let's see but
and that
just
I think
having
is the
those 5
benefit of
actors and going off on little separate Doctor Who adventures inside, like you do in the show.
And that I think is the benefit of having a small cast. And I think it's one of the things that Big Finish has figured out and embraced.
Yeah.
At last is like, after trying to do so many giant, 4-part, 4-box set epics with like sprawling casts in every single episode, like, let's take advantage of the audio format. Let's make, these are audio plays.
Do more,
do them like
intimate.
Plays. And you get that intimacy, you get character development, you get to spend time with characters. Like even in, what is ostensibly a 2005-ish Russell T Davies,
yeah,
like,
it does
sort
have
of
that feel.
sort of script, like that we're putting it in that era. Like one of the things about that era, I feel like that works that first season is that it does tend to be like that. Like they do tend to be smaller casts, and the fact that you only have 45-50 minutes to spend with them, like we can get more value from the characters we have if there are fewer of them. And I feel like Big Finish, like, and I think they say that in the behind the scenes too, that Tim Foley has this sort of, like, that's another reason why he's here. I feel is like he has this skill with smaller casts, which is fully on display here.
Yeah. So I think all three of us really liked it. That's good. I have it didn't take. I gotta be Melvin. You like you do. You watch the episodes 2-3 times, and we're doing a new one. I may watch it twice. Once with my wife, and once by myself. But because I want to be fresh, I want it to be right in my head. I'm not doing a retrospect. When you do a respect, but I agree with you about the intimacy. I do, and Kevin's little journey to find his dad. I mean, and that he didn't understand his dad, or no one did. Because I want to ask you, was his dad a bad dad, or was it just Kevin didn't see what his dad was going through? That's where I get a little lost in the story. Not lost, but I'm like, but I like that.
I've got thoughts, but Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like I like the aspects of this, that it's a 2025 story set in 2005. So you've got the whole, nowadays we talk a lot about mental health and men specifically.
Yeah.
But we're in 2005.
Yes.
So we're talking about how people don't talk about it.
Yep.
And that's interesting. And they basically have a good little chat scene in it with Rose and Jackie. And it's basically, she says something like, he didn't get the right kind of help and nobody talks about it. So for me, that's a good. I like a Doctor Who story that has a load of sci-fi silly nonsense, but has a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of using a small cast of characters. You've got your issue, but it's not like here is an issue. This is an issue, but it's part of a bigger story, and it feels very organic for the characters.
I agree 100%. Like, and I was going to bring up exactly the same thing Dan did. That conversation between Jackie and Rose, because it's very. That was one of the things that I found the most moving about this story, and like even making my notes, and same thing with the TV reviews that we do, Ross. Like I listened to this one 4 or 5 times because I want to know what I'm talking about. That's one of the things for me, and I sort of have the patience and the desire to do that. But like it wasn't until the 4th or 5th listen that scene really twigged for me, because they're talking about it in a very roundabout way. They're talking about it in the length.
It's a conversation.
And exactly the way you said, they're talking about it in 2005 ways. So they're being elliptical about it. But the thing is, it's Jackie and Rose. So this is like, this is as intimate a relationship as you can get. So they're being as direct about it as they can be, which is the other thing, is like, it is elliptical, but it's also, they're actually talking about it, which is extraordinary. And it feels like, in the only way that 2005 can do that, which is just between, Rose and her mom, or, when towards the end, Rose sort of asks, or Kevin sort of asks the doctor about it, because he's like, oh, so the alien interference, that's why my dad was the way he was. And the doctor is like, look, this was the ship came and intersected with the flat like a year ago. So your dad, I'm sorry, but your dad was like this before. And
that was a good scene. Yeah. And then that led to the whole thing of the Doctor showing, I do like it when the Doctor will show that, they are an alien. And then people go, oh, you're being a bit alien. And it's like, yeah, I'm an alien. Yeah. Whereas modern not to like moan about modern RTD2 Doctor Who, but one of the faults with that is that Doctor Who in current TV, he's not really that alien. Not really. He's just like, oh, I'm brilliant, run around, everyone my best friend kind of thing. Whereas I like it when you've got a scene like that where Rose thinks the Doctor's being a bit cold because he's like, yeah, your family's getting in the way. And it seems to be that seems to be a bit similar to the famous Jodie scene where she wasn't great at discussing with Bradley Walsh's character about his cancer worries. It's like, yeah, the Doctor is an alien. And a lot of people got upset by that scene on the telly. But that's the whole point, isn't it? That the Doctor isn't a human.
Yeah.
And so it's nice when you get reminded of that.
Yeah. And it's one of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about Jackie. Wanted to tag on to what Melvin was saying about that conversation.
Yeah.
I think what's her? I can never pronounce her last name.
Kaduri.
I'll let you guess
Kaduri.
it. That
Ross.
conversation to Rose, I love it because Jackie sees everything and she remembers what Rose remembers. Rose remembers it as a child.
Yep.
And Jackie's like, you didn't see it. He was going around to a lot of other flats. We all were kind of looking after him because that's what people do.
Yep.
But it was sad. And it's so they have a very equal relationship, but it's that loving mother. You know what I mean? You know Jackie's a good mom. She's kind of brass and trashy at times, but she was a good mom.
She's got
and
a
she
good
was
heart.
a good mom to other people's kids.
Yep.
Jackie, look, she is a caregiver. And I really liked that because Rose learned something she didn't know, kind of, or sees it. Oh, yeah, that, sees it in adult memory now. She can see it as an adult. So when she gets to the gardener and she puts one and one equals two together and figures out that that's
his dad. Yep.
Kevin's dad, she's emotional.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't have that, if she doesn't have that scene with Jackie and you don't get that. So, and also you don't get the thing where the doctor tells that to Kevin.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is him getting Kevin to record stuff.
Yeah.
So I was a little like you, Melvin. I got choked up each time. I was like, oh, that's okay. That's cool. Then, Rose is emotional. That's upsetting. And then
it made more sense on subsequent re-listens, which is I think one of the things, and to sort of get to your bring it back to your original question, like the mental health part of it isn't, like you say, it isn't like, or as Dan was saying, it isn't the issue. It's not framed as the issue. It's something that we come to, over
organically.
Organically, that grows. Oddly enough, this is an episode about plants and even his like gardening. Like so many things are sort of like seeded, again, like to use the growth metaphor, like from the very beginning of the episode, that like grow and change and pay off as the episode continues. I just really think this is a beautifully written script, and it's really incredible that we get to the end and that there is that, again, that conversation between Jackie and Rose, which again I feel like is really the heart of this episode. And what you were just talking about, Ross, like I feel like one of the things that this series, even just from this one episode, like feels like we're going to get much more about and much more context for and much more sort of inclusion of Jackie as a sort of part of the main cast, which I feel like the series of 2005 sort of look down on her a little bit, because we were encouraged to be looking at the world through the eyes of both Rose and the doctor. From
my point of view, basically, from my media studies brain and based on British telly and culture, the first half of the 2000s especially, there's a lot of that kind of, I mean, in comedy more so. Comedy, then the trends were kind of sneeriness and looking down on people, sort of punching downwards, you'd call it. There was a lot of that. So sometimes in Doctor Who, you could kind of interpret some of the Powell Estate stuff in that way. I don't think it was meant to be that way.
Yeah, but no, I just think it was
at the time, it felt like it could. Some of it could have been a bit.
It feels like the inferred stigma of a council estate to where the way I get it is like that it's not the best place to be. And is that, I get that vibe from 2005 a little bit.
Yep. And that Jackie is sort of framed as a comedy figure. Even though, again, she is, like, they do give her heart. It's not that that's not there. But here in this story, I think Tim Foley like underscores the fact that what you were saying, like she's at the cornerstone. She's a foundational member of this community. She may not know anything about aliens or spaceships or anything like that, but she has a very keen emotional intelligence. She knows her neighbors. She knows the council flat. She knows she is extremely plugged into where she lives. And there's that part
towards
domain,
the end, isn't it? Yeah.
What's that?
It's like that's her domain, and she's an integral part of that. And it's also basically,
so that's why it's like she's extremely observant. Like she knows the history of, she knows little Kevin. She knows where he lives. she at the end, she's like, yeah, someone from, you know, Rashida or whatever just called me and said that someone was sneaking. Like, she is completely plugged into this area. So her
it's her world.
situational wisdom is something that we take for granted. I'm sorry.
And I think as well in this, there's a lot of, I mean, I overthink these things because I overanalyze stuff. But yeah, there's definitely themes in this. You've got, I mean, it's set after Father's Day, so you've kind of got the parental thing and keeping things secret and truth about your parents in the past, then carrying on probably throughout this audio season. And you've got the whole families, whereas the Doctor doesn't really get families, and the whole, oh, I had a family once, but we're not talking about it kind of thing. And also the sort of chosen family, which, you know, the Powell estate chosen family, Jackie is like the center, and there's various other characters that we don't see as well that are part of that family. And choosing your own family, obviously Doctor Who, the program, the Doctor basically, if you want to put it in that way, chooses his own family throughout the entire run, really. So that's nice.
And I feel like this is the perfect point at which, like, we need to talk about Kevin. Which, wasn't that the name of a movie?
It was, and a book, a book, and then a film.
But we need to talk about Kevin because I feel like one of the things that comes up in Doctor Who sometimes, whether it's TV or audio, is that you'll get people rolling, the people in the fandom will roll their eyes and be like, oh, here's another person that the Doctor's known forever that we have never heard of before, which is sort of what Kevin, that's his role here. But I want to get y'all's take on Kevin, the character, on the way he's played. I think the actor's name is, here we go, Alex Austin. Because I you know, again, I want to know what y'all think, but I feel like the way that he is written, the way he's performed, the way that Jackie talks about him, the way that Rose interacts with him, really feels like, and again, there's no reason, like, you don't, I mean, y'all, I talk about my best friend Julia, even on Doctor Who podcasts all the time, but like, you don't usually hear me talk about, you know, such and such other friend, because it's just not, it's not there at the top of my, the top of my mind. So like, someone like Kevin, like, obviously we've never heard of him because he's a new character here, but I just want to see what y'all think about how he comes into the story, how they work him in, how they integrate him.
Well, to me, yeah, he seems normal. It seems logical that Rose has known loads of other people before. I don't know what else to say about that, really. Yeah, it's a decent performance. Again, Tim Foley is one of the best Big Finish writers, so none of his characters ever feel one-dimensional and just there for the function in the plot. He always seems to add a little bit more, so there's enough personality. You know, if you overly analyze it, he's there for a purpose in the story that leads to the alien aspect of it, and then tackles the issues, and then moves on to the next story in the series. But it's a good character, played well, seems real, seems like the person that would have existed, that Rose would have known and hung around with.
What about you, Russ?
Well, I like him. I think the actor does a really good job, because you're not, you know, it's Doctor Who. It's all normally, and especially in 2005, it's real, or RTD, and probably modern Who, it's more about the Doctors sometimes than it is the companion, and vice versa. But I like Kevin's journey, even though he's moving them and we're seeing that. I like the performance a great deal, and I think I like his story too. I mean, I do. I really like the thing about the father, and, you know, them seeing their, you know, that moment when he talks to the kid, because he never figures it out, you know, and it's secret. But I like that moment in the script that Tim Foley created, where, you know, there's a cathartic moment for his dad, who's now the gardener. He's get a little redemption arc, and I like it. I think that's a very nice, that they're both on separate journeys to putting their shared trauma behind them. You know what I mean? Because that's what I mean. The gardener is like, yes, I was that person, but now I'm changed. And you hear, you know, Kevin talking, I'm going to become a scenic designer, and his focus being on the future and not the past.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like it.
That scene
really
at the
like
end,
the bow around the whole thing.
Yeah, I like the scene at the end. It was a bit mawkish,
a little bit,
but I really liked it. So that's fine with me. You know, it was a natural, nice ending. You want a nice uplifting ending, rather than, yeah, your dad's dead and, you know, we had a funeral for him, but also he's a copy of his psyche is in this alien gardener thing. Goodbye.
Yeah.
That would have been a horrible ending. So and again,
that's what if in the 80s, that's what the ending would have been.
Yeah, and then they would never talk about it ever again. It's like, oh, Edric's dead. Oh, never mind. Let's go to Heathrow. But yeah, you could kind of see where it was going, and the shower radio at the beginning of the episode was clearly going to be,
yeah,
Chekhov's shower radio plot point type thing. But again, they wrote it. It was really well written and really well acted, those bits. So I really enjoyed that. It was really sweet. And sometimes you need a nice, sweet ending, really, because I mean, sometimes you can have a horrible ending, aren't you? But this time,
I want to
go back real quick because the question that you had originally asked a couple of questions ago, Ross, was like, and it was an important one, and I'm sorry to have let it drop until now, but it feels like a good time to bring it back up. Because what you asked was Kevin's dad, was he a bad dad? And I think that's a complicated question because it's like you said, there's shared trauma here, not only in the way that that Kevin grew up more or less without a dad, or with knowing that his dad was sort of flighty, was as Rose I think puts it at one point, hot and cold. Which is one way, and even she even says
that's a polite way of saying
like
terrible,
schizophrenic, or that too.
Mood swings.
It could be a lot of things.
He goes off. That would make me think seeing that made me feel, was his dad aggressive? Because they really don't. Because Kevin,
they do say at some point he would bring cookies for everyone, but then the next day he was passing angry notes under everyone's door.
So it's basically bipolar, basically, isn't it?
Kind of. Something
without
like
saying
that.
it,
pretty much. Yeah,
or schizophrenic, or
they don't mention the mother at all, do they? Which I found interesting. So I just assumed that he was a single parent to mirror Rose's single parent situation. But again,
that also goes to them talking about Kevin, like, because that's one of the questions that. And it's a very cool question because it feels like exposition, but it's the way that Tim Foley integrates exposition as part of the plot. The doctor at some point says, so Alien Jungle appears in your dad's bathroom and the first person you go to is Jackie, which is, it's a crazy question, but but it's what you mean, because like Jackie also tells Rose that Kevin, or Kevin, I think, tells Rose that not only did he visit Jackie a lot, but he visited, he sort of found homes or home-like scenarios in a lot of the different apartments around the council estate. So I think it's a more complicated. I mean, it's a great question to ask whether he's a bad dad, because I feel like both of them are seeing it from different. Like the dad is seeing it from his own,
and that's what I was kind of leading to. That, as
because he says at the end, like, I didn't like who I was then. This one's gonna make me cry. Sorry. I like who I am now. And there's like that kind of, like what you said, that sort of growth at the end, that they're both, Kevin and his dad, are now oriented towards the future, as opposed to like thinking like being mired in the past. And that's one of the other things that, another one of the other sort of major themes of this episode is like, being able to leave bad situations or like depressed situations, whether that's economically depressed or like emotionally depressed. Like Kevin talks about, we talk about the community here in the Powell estate, but there's also that sense in which this sort of in this sort of economic situation that a council estate sort of implies, that Kevin at one point says, I just disappeared, and he's like, well, you disappeared too. It's like that happens in a place like this. Like that's literally the phrase he uses, like, in a place like this.
I've lived on an English council as the token English person here. Not that, and it was in London, but there were no giant alien whatever. Nothing like that ever happened, I'm afraid.
See, the monsters only invade small English villages.
Yeah, nothing like that ever happened to me. It was quite boring, really. But yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, I like the line again. There's loads of little good bits in this, like when the gardener basically is like, "Yeah, you can't tell him that I'm him, kind of, because I'm at peace now, and I didn't like what I was." So basically, becoming the gardener is kind of, I hate the word cured, but it's kind of cured him of the problems of the past, and like you said, Melvin, is going on to the future in that form. So it's a good sci-fi way to and I don't know. Issues.
And I think you're right. I don't think cured is the word, but I think growth. I think growth again is really more of the
transformed and grown.
It's almost like a weird. I was gonna say it's like a weird inversion of Kafka. Like instead of becoming above, Kafka. Making you. It's like Kafka light, Kafka plus.
Yeah, exactly. It works really well. And again, it gives you another aspect to the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more about change and metamorphosis and growth
Yeah.
than it is necessarily about
taking your shared trauma and moving forward, because I mean that's what mental health, when you're getting mental health help is a story. I like it. And my big thing is that I'm 60, so when I look back at my 20s, I see that world with 40 more years on it. So there's something about you were in the same situation. The father and son will be in a different situation. And as you get older and I look back at how my parents behaved around us, and like when they were divorcing, all of that. And, my viewpoint as an adult makes me go, oh, no, that's what that was.
Yeah, of
I'm
course,
seeing
because
it. And that the father and
you've got
son,
life experience.
they're coming back to this, it's all for the plot of the story. They come back to the place where the shared trauma was. And they're both able to move on to the next thing. And I the sentimental me really liked that part, because it was like, oh, good. Because some people don't get that.
And I get that,
and they never know that the other knew, and it's awful, and that they can't talk about it.
Yep. Because communication,
and that's why I think the alien goes, "Don't tell it's me."
Yep.
It's such a family type thing, isn't it?
We've too much. I don't want to. He didn't want to traumatize. Yeah. He didn't want to harm Kevin one more time.
And so he's being a good dad.
Yeah. He's protecting him. Don't tell him.
It's nice that he gets to learn about what Kevin's been up to as well, which is a lovely little
it's
bit.
really sweet.
Which that bit at the end, like I think you said, Dan, might be a little bit mawkish, but it's one of the things. But it's one of the things that the gardener especially needs for that closure. Like as far as communication goes, there are things that you can't tell Kevin because he has already grown beyond them. Like he doesn't need that. He has already because he's gone to art school, because he's left the council, he's already on his road.
He's in his next phase already.
He's done his work. Yep. But the thing about communication is whether it's talking about it with which Kevin does to Rose, he's able to actually talk about these things, actually able to, the doctor seems to show an interest in him, but it's really so that he can get the broadcast to the gardener. Doesn't matter. Again, it's the doctor is making, and we know this about Kit Eccleston doctor, is that for him, that is a gigantic sacrifice.
Yeah.
To sit there and listen to someone talk about their mundane bullshit. It's a huge sacrifice for the doctor, but he's doing that so that the gardener can hear this story so that he can move beyond, or that they can move beyond. Because I think they even say that the gardener is sort of a female form.
But
whether
it's
talking about it or listening. Yeah. But whether it's talking about it or listening to it, I saw someone who was talking shit about podcasts a few maybe what? I know, go figure.
Not about our podcast, I hope.
No, just podcasts in general.
In general,
they're like, oh, we don't really need any more podcasts, they're just places for middle-aged men to do therapy. And I'm like, and
they need it.
I started mine
what
because
the problem is.
I started this podcast as something to be, something to focus on. Me and Vic to go, hey, let's talk about Doctor Who once a week.
Everyone needs their thing, whatever the thing is that helps you.
Yep.
That's great.
Good God. And that's what I see in this story. I think it's a good one. This would be, it almost had an American science fiction story feel to it, because you had to have the moral lesson.
Well, also because
I'm
a
Star Trek fan. There's some
shoehorn in some space gobbledygook too, which I was just like, I glazed over when they were talking about the
Gothic Soul Snare.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever.
That's okay.
It doesn't matter though, does it? Really?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's great.
It doesn't matter. The flies. Oh, we didn't talk. This had a monster.
Oh, that image
but we're not
great,
talking about it. And it killed someone. They killed someone.
It ate Marlene.
That bit's weird. That bit's so weird. It's like, sorry, Marlene. Never mind.
She got too curious. She wanted to take pictures of the weird fly creature.
That's art students for you, I'm afraid.
Yes. I also love that line.
I used to be an art student when I lived in the council estate in the 90s in London.
Oh, snap.
It all goes together.
We're gonna need your insider view on all of this then.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you about mini Battenbergs and potato waffles if you like.
I only this time everyone's talking about
what is a potato waffle?
Do you have them? They're waffly versatile. That's what they are.
No, now we need to know. I learned one of my friends episode about bollards and mini Battenbergs, which I never heard either of them.
I don't even know what is a mini Battenberg. A candy?
Well, right. Oh God. Right, sponge cake, yeah. And the Americans have sponge cake.
Yeah.
Sure.
Plus,
Sponge cake,
Twinkie sponge cake.
Yeah, your cakes are shit though, aren't they? They're like really sugary and bad for you and full of chemicals, aren't
Oh
they?
yeah,
Because your food
unless it's
standards
made
are
by a
terrible,
real
aren't they?
baker, don't eat it. It's
Oh,
toxic.
right. So
I
you've got
want
like
Twinkies all day.
if you imagine different coloured
Well,
sponge
Debbie.
cake in long squares. So if you look at the end, if you look at a cut through of the Battenberg, like a loaf, you've got 4 different squares of coloured sponge cake, and you've got jam, and then around the edge of it all, you've got marzipan, and that's a Battenberg cake. Normally it's pink sponge, yellow sponge, like a chessboard, but just with 4 pieces. And mini Battenbergs are small ones.
Okay.
I've never had a mini Battenberg because I'm a greedy bastard. I will only have a maxi Battenberg myself.
Oh my God.
Potato waffles, basically, they're kind of like, it's so hard to explain potato waffles. I never thought I'd be on
I need to know what potato waffles are.
So, like oven chips. Yeah, like
French.
French fries. So, like, imagine French fries that go in the oven, but they're like in the shape of a waffle, but it's made of the potato stuff, right? Yeah.
Like waffle fries?
So no, do you have like Belgian waffles? They're like
little.
yeah.
They literally it's
like
a potato that's been turned into a Belgian waffle.
That's
like
bizarre.
it's a textured thing with like a square object with sort of holes in it or indentations, like a Belgian waffle.
What do you eat it with?
But rather than being sweet, they're savoury.
Oh.
And you put them in the oven and you just eat them. I mean, I don't have them; they're awful.
Sounds like a giant tater tot.
Yeah,
I imagine I've heard of tater tots. I don't know what that is, but it's trashy.
It's potato
my
crumble,
God,
deep
Dan.
fried, and then you dip it in ketchup. Or
Well, that sounds more interesting. This is more
What
like
the
a process thing in a weird shape. But basically, potato waffles in this case is like a shorthand for council estate basic food, I think.
Okay.
In that people that don't do proper, I'm doing inverted commas, proper cookery will have like an oven tray full of potato waffles or chicken nuggets or other such things. It's kind of a bit of a cliche.
Yeah, in this country, it would be chicken tenders and tater tots.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. It's basically
It's the
easy
same
food.
thing. I would take a potato.
freezer.
I'd take a potato waffle and make a sandwich with it.
I'm sorry.
Potato.
I have to go back here because I'm alarmed that Dan has never had tater tots. That is
I'll
shocking.
Google it. Yeah, but I'm not American.
That doesn't matter.
Well, they may because
They make them.
Do they?
They have to have them. There's
I don't
a
know,
place.
dude.
There's a place in Durham called the Boot Room where me and my best friend Julia will hang out sometimes, and they have something called bomb tots, which is like a giant bowl of tater tots with like this sort of like Asian sort of like sauce on it with like
good dip,
kale and stuff like it is incredible.
I will Google it later on. And I will look into it. But basically, I do like my potato products as a vegetarian. You've got to keep your potatoes interesting.
But I did also have to look up bollards.
Bollards, they're basically things that come. Oh, you can explain it if you want. Go on.
Well, this is the thing. Once I found out what it was, I was like, oh, that's what that fucking thing is called. Forgive my foul language, but I ripped the bumper.
Bollards.
I ripped the bumper of my car off on one of those things because I backed up and didn't see it, and it was one of those bendy ones. Sort of lines the sides of the street so you don't like park there. But I didn't see it, and so I ran it over. And then as I pulled forward, it ripped through my bumper, and I'm like, fucking bollards, like a bollard.
Now you know what a bollard is.
Now I know. I got bollocks to buy a bollard.
All right. Well, hey,
don't mix up your bollocks and your bollards. They're very different.
All right. So, hey, I wanted to ask this question before we wrap up.
Oh yes, we start to talk about the story.
Do you feel this is? Are you looking forward to the second one? Because I'll start. Because I do. Because what I felt like. Well, what I think about Dr. Sats when they were still, the set, we're going to talk about is it coming out single at the very end, but one would be okay, especially, when they're trying something new, and then 2 or 3 would be the bomb. They'd be better, and one of them would be the bomb. And a lot of times it would be that middle one. I always kind of like in a Paul McGann box said, ooh, what's the middle one going to be like? Because that's just going to be a science fiction story. And not have anything to do with the main plot. I'm looking forward to it. If this is what they start with, if this is what they chose to be the first episode, I'm looking forward to it. The rest of it. What are they going to do? 4 of them? 3 or 4 of them? Or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How long
So they haven't said how many.
I thought it was supposed to be a 12. I thought it was supposed to be a season. Yeah.
It's 12.
It's 12. It is 12.
Oh, wow.
Well, I paid for 12. It better be 12.
Yeah.
Okay. No, well, see, that's good. You get a season.
Yeah.
I'm
basically a modern Who kind of season.
You basically get 12. We've got every other month. We've got 12. Well, we've got 12 9th Doctor and 12 13th Doctors.
Yep.
rotating each month. Yeah.
Yeah, I subscribe to both of them.
So for 2 years we get
That's
one and then the other.
Oh, that's
I,
nice.
I like that because also it lasts longer.
Yep.
And like the old days of Big Finish, it gives us time to digest it
Yep.
and also
Yeah,
talk about it.
That's I think it's
Whereas
great.
if you're getting loads at once, it's like, you don't pay attention as much because it's like, oh God, I've got 4 hours.
Got to
of
get
this
through
to
the
listen
box
to.
set. Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whereas now we've got our time to listen to it properly. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's going to be some kind of light season arc about the Powell estate.
That's what it. That's the
See,
going
that I
rumor.
like that. See, now I like that because I was
Yeah.
because I haven't bought Jody or this Chris. Melvin was nice
Yeah.
enough to let me share his,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of like the single one because sometimes during the pandemic, especially the first like 18 months of it, I bought a lot of Big Finish and I like the sets. I do. I think uh, I still buy McGann no matter what. It's like that's the one I can't give up. And because it's so good. For me, most of it's so good. I mean, I like most of it. But I like this, and I like this way of doing it. I think this is a good way. It's to get fans into it more too. If Jody
And it's a cheaper product as well because I mean, in the last couple of years they have reduced the amount of box sets because they did the Sontarans versus Rutans, which was clearly going to be a box set at one point because it was 4 linked stories, but they came out as separate releases. And then the Jody ones, I suppose it gives it more. If you think about it from a marketing point of view, you've got more releases.
Yep.
So you've got more times you can do a story about it on the social media, and also it's a cheaper price point. So if you want to try one, you can just buy one story rather than some. You do get these.
And
Fans going, I don't want to buy all these boxes. I want to buy one, and you're like,
and it may be part of a larger set, but it's a
Yeah.
complete story, which
But
is
it's not. Yeah,
is
but it's
also
nice.
a benefit.
I think it works better. And like the Billie Summerfields as well, they've started doing those as separates as well, which is
Well,
interesting.
see, I think it forces the writers to make it a one and done while it's not a one and done, like you do in television, that you've got to realize that everyone's could be someone's first episode. You can't have one that's
just like with comics, isn't it? It's like the 80s X-Men comics where you're like every comic is somebody's first one. So you've got to have enough going on that you can explain it to a brand new viewer, reader, listener, whatever the product is. Yeah, I'm happy with them being single discs. It means that takes up more space, but I know technically it doesn't because all the Eccleston box sets were in
they were in the old box
one.
around 3 different
discs. Unlike all the other Big Finish, which is good. Basically, I was really happy when Big Finish stopped doing the box set that had single discs in it,
giant clamshell,
because that wouldn't fit through the letterbox. And they would always come on a Saturday morning, and it would always be the one time that the postman came early was Saturday. So I would always hear the doorbell at like 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and it'd be bloody Big Finish. But now they've gone those nice box sets where you've got several discs, but it's in the, it's a
smaller, thinner.
It's a more boxy box that opens up on both sides, and that fits through the letterbox. But no, this is fine. I like having each one, and I like having the separate art because I like a nice bit of art. So for me, it's a win-win situation.
Oh, I love this. See, that's a great thing. I didn't even think about that because I was getting to the point with I don't like that it's one image.
Yeah, because it's always a bit of a mishmashy mess.
Yeah, because I like to post when I'm listening to something and it's like it's the same cover, the Charlie one, the Charlie Audacity set I just finished. Have I finished it? No, I think I got one more story. I'm loving it. That'll probably be my recommendation.
But yeah, I love this approach. I think that going from the just exactly what y'all said, going from the sort of box set approach, especially like since they moved really with I think it was with the Eccleston sets first to three stories each boxes. Like even from that going to one definitely makes it more of an event. Which I also really like. It feels
the art felt better in those sets, didn't it?
And it feels cool for the sort of quality. And this is the thing, we talked about at the very beginning, the Eccleston box sets, again, with the exception of Ravagers, I think that we can take that as read. That there was not one. There's the thing about Eccleston box sets that they only let. It's crazy. They only let the best writers for Big Finish touch Eccleston, which I feel is warranted. It keeps him happy. It keeps and he loves, apparently, as I've heard over the course of all of the behind the scenes stuff, that Helen Goldwyn, who came on as the sort of director of the range after Ravagers, because I think Nick Briggs did everything in the first one.
Yeah, I
whatever.
think-
Yeah, it was just their
Yeah,
deal.
that was a
That
separate
was supposedly
thing,
their
really, yeah.
agreement that it would be a.
But the whole thing is like he is working with a team that he knows and
I
he
love
trusts,
Helen Goldman.
and you can tell in the product because he is
Who directed this one?
Helen Goldwyn.
All right.
But yeah, he can tell that he is so comfortable, that he's so at his ease. He knows the writing is going to be good, which I'm sure of all of the people who do Big Finish, all of the doctors anyway, he is the one that is sort of the most, and I don't say this in a pejorative way, but he is the most sort of persnickety about and exacting about the material that he's given.
Cares.
He takes everything seriously. He takes he's a craftsman. That's I need the best material. I need a good set. I need everybody to be in the same mood. And it's just
and this is
a lot
the thing,
of theater,
like,
and those actors could be tiresome, but they also
he's not one of those
they give you good work.
So some of the day he's reading it for the first time when they're recording.
I was going to say he's not one of those doctors that's reading it for the first time when they're recording.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you can tell in their performance. I mean, clearly, what I imagine what they do is they'll discuss things that he's interested in, like historical things, and then they'll bring in ideas that he likes because why not?
Yeah.
But that's the
You're
thing
getting
for me,
Christopher Eccleston to do this. It's a big enough deal, and yet that you've made it that he keep him. How do we keep this guy who's probably cutting him a break? You know what I mean? This is a big actor.
Totally. Yeah.
You know,
and he clearly enjoys doing it.
And Billie Piper.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it's so nice to see him. I know it sounds patronizing. It's so nice to see him enjoying being the Doctor.
Yes.
He's mellowed a lot.
It's not patronizing.
I listen to the extra features.
It's so nice.
He's getting more and more like, oh, it's okay. And I think it's making him look back at 2005 better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the time's passed long enough now. So
now he's going, you know what?
He can appreciate
I understand why we were all rushing around and it was a little uncomfortable. This is why the fans, they were trying to bring good Doctor Who back to the fans. Oh, that's why they were working so hard.
And I think that approach, he even talks about it in the behind the scenes for this one. He's like, even talking about the council estate, he said, I had a picture in my mind of me kicking a can. And I'm like, I think I remember that.
It's like in the second, it's like when they come back.
It's just like a moment that it's nothing to do with anything, but like,
he's just walking across
it's
the
such
stage.
a visual, such a potent memory. But he says, at the time I was concerned with, he was the center of attention. It was all this, like, everything was happening around him. And I feel like it's not patronizing, Dan, to say that, like, there's a thing where he definitely appreciates, it's nothing to do with being a Doctor Who fan. Like, he appreciates the work. He appreciates the work, the effort that goes into these scripts. And I feel like this is the thing, is like, whether I'm looking forward to it or not, like the Ninth Doctor range at Big Finish for years now has really been like one of the most bankable things that they put out. Like, like there's not going to be a filler script, so to speak. Like, and the fact that they've brought him and Billie back together to do this series, like, there's just no way that they were going to go forward with anything that wasn't A+ material. So I am
Ravagers 2. No, thank you.
Yeah, and this was getting some. And this was making some news cycles outside of this Doctor Who fandom, wasn't it?
God, yeah, loads of news. I saw loads of stuff, and people would be like, what? And they're like, oh, it's audio. But
but at least it gets it in their mind. I mean, maybe.
But no, but I mean, like, some fans would be like that, or no, more so like the general public who don't know about this stuff. But again, then they'll go, oh, there's Doctor Who audio. I didn't know that. So
think about it.
It's great.
Since 2005, how many more people are listening to books on tape on Audible? As we get, not only is regular streaming, but I was a nerd and listened to radio plays when I was a kid. You could buy those shitty cassettes for like 99 cents at a dime store that had some crap, cave car, Billy Corbett from Outer Space, whatever it was, The Shadow, and listen to him. I've always listened to that stuff, but you've got two big stars. Put it out there. See if you get, Jason Gallery's going, if I get 1,000 more people buying my stuff for a couple months, I paid the rent.
Yeah.
In the business, because I like it. I mean, I think the thing was missing in, the BBC started to get chintzy on promotion with the new show after Capaldi was announced. It all, all the secondary
But
stuff
that's where the general public lost interest in
Yeah.
this country,
Yeah.
because
stopped.
they'd done the fatal error of having an unlikable Doctor, and
Yeah.
also having the show, basically the writing kind of going up its own arse a bit, where it became too much. I mean, I would say like the 50th year was pretty bad
Yeah.
for that, because it became just like, oh, there's too many mysteries. It's all about the companion being a mysterious and being the Doctor's name, and it's like, just write some good fucking adventures and get people enjoying it. You know, you need to just keep it basic in some way. I know it sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. And then when
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi came along, people were like, oh, he's a bit horrible. I mean, I love Peter Capaldi, so I'm not
Me too.
complaining at all. But the
I get what you mean.
it was out of sync with the general public, because the general public loved David Tennant. It's like, hey, David Tennant, he's running around, he's got a catchphrase, he wears trainers, and everyone loves him. And then it's like, oh, here's a grumpy old Scottish man shouting at people. So you can see what happened, you know.
Well, which is one of the interesting things about this particular series, and you know, the excitement for Kit Eccleston doing this series with Billie Piper, is that 2005 Doctor was a bit prickly, also was a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, you know, was, as Ross pointed out earlier on, like, this is, you know, Tim Foley gets the relationships between these characters, gets their voices. Like, there's that moment where the Doctor is like, you know, this is why I don't get involved in people's lives. Like, you're talking about things that to me are completely unimportant. Like, there's a sense in which this Doctor, you know, wasn't very friendly, wasn't very approachable, but had a kind of charisma. And I feel like that is one of the things that, and it's one of the interesting things about what you were just talking about, Dan, is that, you know, Big Finish isn't necessarily for a general audience. Like, they're pitching it specifically towards Doctor Who fans who know about Big Finish, who are going to pay for it. But like y'all were saying about the publicity stuff about it, like, it has gotten a lot of run. It might encourage people who haven't before, whether it's because it's one episode, because it's the price point,
it's a good starting
Kit Eccleston
point.
and Billie Piper.
And just keep Doctor Who in the zeitgeist is a good thing, because they're, you know, we still don't know what's going to happen with the show.
Yeah. And
I like the fact that take advantage of that vacuum, Big Finish.
Yeah, it's a perfect time.
And score a win. I mean, we've known for what, a year and a half that they were coming back.
Yeah.
Whenever they made San Diego, when did they probably announce it at Big Finish Day?
Yeah,
it was something. But it's, I'm just like, I like that. I like that this is, I think it's I like.
Well, they recorded it last year in December, so I assume it would have been announced soon after that, probably, because you know how these things always get out. I know they kept it secret for a while, so maybe it was early this year. I can't remember.
But that's the thing, is they don't announce anything unless it's in the can.
Yeah, because that would be a bad idea, wouldn't it? And then something
I think comics in the 80s and 90s, man.
I think they had to do it for
things that never
reason.
came out.
Yep,
so many
things they had to do it for that reason.
Yeah. But yeah, so many comics that you're like, what? See, I love reading old magazines and going, that never happened. Like, these things.
Oh God, I'll find an old Wizard magazine.
This album, I'm like reading like Face magazine, like a fashion and culture and music magazine from the 80s at the moment, and I'm going, that album never came out. What happened? You know, all these things that never happened, and it's fascinating hearing, you know, and the same with comics. So many comics that clearly just got scrapped.
They peter out because the artists can't.
Or people never did it, and then they never get released. And
they're going to do a big omnibus of the first big chunk of Astro City, a comic I love. I said, "Ooh, I'd love to see that in oversight." That was 5 years ago, and it's still just sitting there pending.
But speaking of historical cultural artifacts, one of the things that I wanted to bring up right before we let it go is again, Tim Foley's. He's just such a talented scriptwriter. And again, like you were talking earlier, Dan, about the Chekhov's radio, but I feel like, again, there are seeds for lots of things in this script, which whether they go forward or not, like Monty the Cat, which they bring up several times.
It's gonna have to come back, because and then the Doctor says, "Oh, it was a bit of a coincidence that this spaceship thing was in the Powell estate." We're like, yeah. But I like that, because I like when television genre is a bit self-aware, but not in an overbearing way, but you know what I mean. A little
just connects the dots
because it's funny.
Here's something.
Because the other thing is, he says that the ship would have been there for about a year and a half, which in real time for Rose and Jackson would have been about when she joined up. Yep, because she'd been away for a year, and they say it's been about half a year. Yep.
Yeah.
So
That
there's
makes
that
sense.
stuff. There's also just for this particular story, I feel like it's just a running joke, as it were. But it feels like scripts don't even do running jokes anymore. Like whether it's TV stuff or audio stuff, it feels like if there's a joke, it's just a joke for that moment. But like at the very, very beginning, when there's like pounding on the door, you can hear Jackie yelling about like, make sure the tape is rewound because the Titanic, like it takes as long to rewind as it does to watch. And then like the Titanic, like watching the Titanic is a joke throughout the episode. Like Marlene wants to take a picture of Jackie at some point because she's fascinated with her like sort of quaint council clothes style or whatever. And she's like, no, I'm in my comfy clothes. This is only for watching Leo.
Fair enough.
So
I like that.
But you get those jokes about Titanic.
I'm in a new pair of pajamas.
I'm
not going with you.
Yeah. But again,
and also
she talks about like X Factor at some point as well. So like there's a real embeddedness, and she talks about like hobbits and stuff like that. So there's a real embeddedness in
the kitchen cupboard
in 2005 here.
I love that bit where they have to escape via the kitchen cupboard, and she's like, "It's a hobbit hole."
So if you're going to go to Narnia and a council estate, it's in the kitchen cabinet, not in some wardrobe in the back.
No, it's never going to be in the wardrobe. Definitely going to be in the kitchen.
All right, guys. Yeah. Hey, thank you for coming on and talk about this. It's Dan, I didn't warn you about this, but at the end, I like to ask people to recommend something they're listening to, reading, watching, just anything. To give you a moment to think. I'm
looking around my room going, what have I got? What have I got? What have I got? What have I got?
I'm going to recommend the latest
I know what I can do.
8th Dr. Charlie and Audacity set. I'm still listening to it. I love Audacity and Charlie together. I really do. The doctor is fucked because those two women are in charge. There's one point where they're just like, no, don't speak. And I'm like, and he just takes it. I like it. I like it. Not. I like that Charlie is. They're very. They have pet names for each other already. Mm-hmm. It's very nice. So, what about you, Dan?
Does it have to be Doctor Who, or can it be anything?
No, it can be anything.
I mean, Melvin. Currently, what am I doing currently? Currently, I would recommend it's a comic. Currently reading a DC. I think it's now called Black Label. The imprint. There's an omnibus. There's an omnibus of the first half of the Vertigo series, Shade the Changing Man by Peter Milligan and Chris Batchelor.
Oh, the old Vertigo stuff. They put Vertigo back on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Vertigo. Yeah. So that's the first half of that is in an omnibus. I've been reading that because that was my first mature reader's comic in the 90s. So I started reading that in like issue 25 or whatever. Because it's like I think, digressing slightly, being a comics fan and being a Doctor Who fan is quite handy because with Doctor Who, none of us have watched old Doctor Who in order because you just get them when you get them on video, repeats, DVDs, whatever. And being a comic collector is very similar. You never start at the beginning of old stuff because you just get what you get. So
some of my favorite stuff I came in on issue 12 or 13.
Reading that's good to read. Music-wise, currently, the new album from a band called Auto Heart, which is an album called Heartlands, which is sort of melodic indie. It's like lots of heartbreaky stuff. It's a bit mental healthy at times. Mm-hmm. It's a bit gay, but not too gay. Gay enough. Mm-hmm. That's really good. And audio wise,
did you say Doctor Who gay?
No, Doctor Who. No.
That's a descriptor I wasn't familiar with.
Doctor Who wise, what can I recommend? Big Finish wise, there's of course the Jodie Whittaker episode 1 written by Tim Foley, which we'll be doing.
I haven't listened to it yet.
We'll be doing a Track 1 podcast about at some point, along with episode 2, which is out next month.
Yep.
What else is there? There's loads of things. I spend all my time doing stuff. And the Trap One podcast that's come out this week, which is about Smith and Sullivan Reunited, which is Big Finish box set. Which, if you like K9 and Company and you like stuff set in the 80s, then I recommend Big Finish's Smith and Sullivan Reunited because it's just jolly good fun. You get Harry Sullivan and K9 as a double act you never knew you needed, and it's
my god, that's good. I love who's the actor that plays Harry? Because I haven't listened to a lot of the stuff with Harry.
Chris Naylor. It's great because K9's very literal and Harry is not very literal, and it's just really funny. And I got a load of my friends to be in an episode of Trap One where we all chat about it. We spend the first 10 minutes trying to work out what year it's set in based on the models of cars and the privatization of the English phone system and what Sarah's watching on the television. That's the kind of level you get when I do a Trap One, basically. But then we eventually will discuss the episodes. And yeah, the Big Finish box, which isn't actually a box because it's download only, is definitely well worth listening. It's one of my favorite Big Finishes of the year, just because it's a joy. And it gets, like how some of the Big Finish gets the tone right. Like this Eccleston one, it gets the tone right of that era. Well, this K9 and Sarah thing gets that tone right. It's just, if you like that stuff, you'll love this.
All right,
That's
Melvin.
good to know. Yeah, I've got several things as well, and the first thing I'm doing after this is listening to, as I like to call it now on the internet, the popular Trap One Doctor Who podcast.
The popular one.
Yes, I always call it the popular.
Melvin,
Doctor
Oh yeah,
Who.
you do,
Hey,
don't
Melvin,
you? On
Melvin,
Yes.
yeah.
hey, Melvin,
Yes.
can we?
Don't forget the boot. Oh, bonk.
Yeah,
right. Popular Trap One.
There's a menu, a music venue here. It's about an hour's drive from me, so I only go if it's like I need to see this band, and it's called the Haw River Ballroom, HAW. But I never refer to it
not
anywhere.
whores as in whores.
No, HAW, Haw River. I only ever refer to it as the magnificent Haw River Ballroom.
Do you got an extra adjective that you like to use for your
if
your
there are
language?
things that are very important to me? Yes.
So Trap One is popular.
Popular Trap
Are
One.
we popular? I don't even know. I don't know how popular we are. I assume we're popular.
I don't know, but for me, for my sake, I'm very like sentimental about it. It was the first podcast that I did, and Mark, the first episode I did was with Mark and Ross,
and mine as well. Was Ross on that?
Yep, that's how I met Ross.
Oh, okay. So Ross did a Trap One. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. When did you do a Trap One, Ross? I don't remember you doing a Trap One.
Oh, I've done a few.
It was the very first one I was on.
How many years ago was this?
One of them.
Was it about a comic?
No. It was about the Eighth Doctor.
Oh, that's right. It was
about the when they relaunched the Eighth Doctor with like the connections and what lies inside.
So I would have heard that. So I have heard that because I would have listened to that, and that's interesting.
That was my very first Doctor Who podcast.
See, Trap One was my first as well.
Yep.
Because I couldn't really avoid it because most of my friends, basically my friendship group is the Trap One people, and who I go on holiday with and stuff, and we're all going to there's a convention next weekend in Derby called Hooverville, and that'll be interesting. And Mark McManus is coming, so I haven't seen him for a while. Anyway, right. So Melvin, you were saying about the famous Trap One podcast.
Oh yeah, the popular Trap One Doctor Who podcast will be what I will be listening to as soon as this is over, about Smith and Sullivan. But what I can recommend this week is I read from the sick bed. I had it in a Humble Bundle like maybe a year ago of Doctor Who like comics and stuff like that, which I finally got around to reading, was Doctor Who Origins, which is like it was like a 5-issue limited series starring the fugitive Doctor, written by Jodie Hauser. It is incredible. I was absolutely floored. Like, we've heard 2 box sets now of Fugitive Doctor, and Jodie Hauser just sort of gets what I was looking for from the Fugitive Doctor.
She's
right off the bat.
Doctor Who comic writer. She's
absolutely flipping insane. It was a great story, so very highly recommend that.
That's cool.
I watched a movie recently called what was it called? One moment, I had it pulled up. The Colors Within. This is an anime film from 2024, so from last year, about 3 sort of like high school age students who form a band. It's a really like tender, intimate, sort of moving, but really uplifting movie, and I really, really loved that. And as far as music goes, I am nuts about an artist named Jen Wasner. I talk about her on the internet all the time. She's one of my pals. Like you were saying about Roy Gill earlier, like I don't feel like there's a conflict of interest. Like I have no problem separating art from artists. Yeah. Like if it's good, like it's good. And so she's got a new record as Flock of Dimes that is coming out in October. It's just all songs about crying, which I love.
God.
But she put out a new single this week called Afraid, which is like track 1, side 1 of her new record that's coming out in October. And Jen is just one of my favorite artists and one of my favorite people. So highly, highly, highly recommend going and listening to some Flock of Dimes this week.
Awesome, guys. Again, thank you for being on. And we'll talk again soon. Well, thank you again for listening, folks. It's always a pleasure. Special thanks to Melvin Pena for the design of of our newer logo, and Victoria Wheeler for the original logo. And as always, we look forward to seeing you somewhere in space or time. All right. Well, hello. Welcome to. All right. Shit. I went 3 podcasts in a row and
Hey.
I'm getting it right, Melvin. And it took about 1.5 years. I didn't get it right. Didn't get it in one take. And then
Yeah,
I
no.
did it in one of my comic podcasts. And my,
Leave
and
it
my
in,
guest,
leave
Yeah,
it
Kirby
you gotta
in.
went,
you gotta
"Hey,
have
got
that
it
as
right."
you gotta leave that in as the tag
That's got to be the
at the
tag.
end.
We
Yep.
need a tag.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.